Hey there, and thank you for tuning into this video. If you are watching this, it's because we're either working together currently, we have worked together in the past, we're talking about working together in the future if you choose to buy or sell a home, or someone thought this would be helpful for you and sent it over to you. Either way, I'm glad that you're here. I'm going to be diving into the buyer representation agreement and some policy changes when it comes to real estate transactions that will be in effect August 17th. So just a couple of days away, August 17th. So you may have seen some headlines circling around real estate transactions lately. Maybe you've been in some real estate forums and you've seen some agents panicking, for lack of a better word. All these what if scenarios and big claims being made that buyers agents are done. Buyers had to now pay their agent and all these different things. There's a lot of misinformation. There's a lot of clickbait headlines going around, and people just really not understanding how things are actually going to be changing. So I want to be proactive, and I want to send everyone who is interested and people who are working with me a quick video here. And it's just on my Zoom. I'm just going to record this and hopefully it goes smoothly here. I just really want to be transparent and show you exactly what this form is, what you need to know as a buyer and a seller in the future, of course, and how this is going to be impacting you and what questions maybe you should be asking yourself and your agent before you start to buy a home. So this is the buyer rep agreement. Biggest change is that this will be required even to show a property starting August 17th. So starting August 17th, if an agent says, yep, I will meet you at the property at 123 Main Street, and you have not signed this agreement with them, that agent is already breaking the law. So keep that in mind. This is required even to show property now. And a lot of agents are running away from this and not wanting to embrace it, talk about it, discuss it with their clients. They're afraid of questions around it. That's not how I work. I welcome questions. I so want to be a resource for everybody and help them understand what's actually going to be changing, how it impacts them. And I'm an open book. Feel free to use me as a resource, whether we're working together or not. This is really important for the consumer mostly to understand how they're now protected and what this means for them. So I'm going to share my screen and we're going to go over the buyer rep agreement. So let me open up my tab here. This is for California. So I am licensed and serve clients in California. If you're outside of California, you will sign something very similar to this with your agent. This is a nationwide policy being enacted that a agent and a buyer have to now have a written agreement signed before the agent even shows them property. So this is what it looks like: buyer representation, broker compensation agreement. So let's go through the most important points. I have John Smith and Jane Doe here for 10 clients. It's just a sample. So here it is. Representation period. Really important to know is that this is only good for 3 months. 3 months. So this agreement that is signed is in effect for up to 3 months. If you want to extend longer than 3 months, you can create a new agreement. You can just extend this agreement, or you can choose to not renew and go a different direction. So for 3 months, if you do sign this with an agent, that is a term of it. Keep in mind too, important, you can always cancel this agreement. I think one thing that's fantastic about this, and I'm so glad this is now becoming required, is that it makes buyers agents have to fulfill their obligations in a contract. They have to actually serve a client, right? They need to be an advocate, a negotiator, a resource. They can't just open doors and send a couple emails, collect a commission, and call themselves an agent, okay? This is really going to help filter out the people who should not be in the industry, people who don't know how to negotiate or are afraid of negotiations, don't know really how to serve clients and avoid questions or avoid the difficult conversations. So again, if you are going to be seeing property soon, anytime after August 17th, and an agent hasn't addressed this with you and asked you about it and send it to you to sign it and say, do you have any questions? Let's go through this. You want to ask yourself why, right? It's going to make agents have to step up to the plate. Just like listing agents have always had to negotiate the commission at the forefront when they take the listing, now buyer's agents also have to negotiate their commission as a part of the real estate transaction. So I think this is a very good thing. We actually have to put a deal together now. Lo and behold, right? That's what we're paid to do. So, and of course, represent our clients. So 3 months, is the extent in which this agreement can be in effect. What I really want to highlight here, type of representation, non-exclusive. By default, this is a non-exclusive agreement, which means that a buyer can sign this with more than one realtor. If you are unsure about who you want to represent you, if you want to keep your options open, or if you just met a realtor and you're like, let me just see if I like this person enough to really agree to let them represent me. This is not exclusive. So you are not tied to the agent that sends you this by default. You can sign this with more than one agent. However, exclusive will probably be an ask of an agent if they have shown you a few properties, if they have already done quite a bit of work for you, or they just only do exclusive buyer up agreements. They may ask for it to be exclusive. So just make sure you look at A2 in this and see if the box for exclusive is checked or not, right? So make sure you know if that box is checked or not. And if it's exclusive and you didn't discuss being exclusive with that agent, ask them, call them out on it, right? And so, but getting back to it, an agent like myself, maybe after showing a couple of properties and my team using the resources for a client, we may ask for an exclusive agreement just to make sure that the work that we're putting in for that client does turn into us getting a commission if we fulfill our obligations in the contract and help you close on your first or next property. So an agent may ask for an exclusive contract, exclusive representation after serving you for a little bit. So just be prepared for that. But by default, this is non-exclusive. So you're not tied to an agent when you sign this, unless that box is checked. Property type, single family residence is by default. Most clients are looking for a single family home. Condo, townhome is included as well. We do help clients, of course, buy multifamily. 2 to 4 units is our specialty, really. So that also can be checked. Something really important here is that if you just want an agent that you just met to show you a house or two that you found online, and you just want them, before you sign anything really exclusive with them, to just show you these couple of houses, you can just put the addresses right here, right? So if you want to see 123 Main Street and 1234 Main Street, you can just put those addresses here, and the agent will only be responsible for showing you those 2 homes. And after those 2 showings, if you don't pursue either of those homes, unless you sign another agreement with that agent, you're not tied to them at all, right? So just know that you can have just one or a couple of properties showing. Scrolling down here to amount of compensation. Let's talk about this a little bit. E1, whatever percentage is right here, I have 3% as an example. That is the maximum amount of the purchase price that the buyer's agent brokerage can be paid at closing. Now, remember that when you buy or sell real estate, it's not the agent directly that pockets that commission check. I can show you right now. It's the brokerage that's paid first, any splits, any fees, additional marketing costs, salaries for admin. I have showing assistants and listing coordinators, right? I have an assistant, transaction coordinators. They're all paid out of that commission. And then I am given what's left over, right? So the agent is not pocketing whatever this percentage is. But we do have to put an amount in here, and this is the maximum that they can be paid. It can always be less. It can always be less. So if I'm negotiating a deal for a client and I've been able to negotiate a 2.5% commission to have my client purchase the seller's home at a certain price and terms and everything like that, I don't get 3%. I get the 2.5%, right? So this can always go down. This can't go up. I can't negotiate a 3.5% commission on my behalf with this in place, right? It can only go down. It cannot go up. So whatever amount that you see right here, that's the maximum that it can be paid. Now, majority of cases, vast majority of cases, the seller understands that to have a buyer offer a better price and actually close on the home, netting the seller more money, it's in their better interest to agree to compensate the buyer's agent. Okay. So 9 times out of 10, maybe even more times than that, I can negotiate in the offer to have the seller pay my commission. If for whatever reason the seller refuses and they will not offer a commission, you have two choices as the buyer. You can either move on and find another house that's not going to cost you additional 2 to 2.5, 3% of the purchase price, or you can pay the agent, and the agent can then work with the client to say, okay, I know the seller is not offering any kind of concession to help pay for the buyer's agent brokerage fee. However, if you have the funds, additional funds to be able to compensate your agent, and you really want this house, like the house has to really be worth it, right? Work with the agent, and the agent will work with you and see if we can find something that makes sense for everybody, right? But I really don't foresee that happening. I could be wrong, but I anticipate in this market that sellers will continue to agree to compensate buyers agents. They just cannot advertise it in the MLS. They can't say to agents they are offering a 2%, 2.5%, 3% commission. Now it just has to be negotiated as a part of the deal. So they can still have the understanding that just like closing costs set aside, right? That they need to set aside some funds to pay for the buyer's agent. But it is no longer like a guarantee, like, right? A buyer's agent is no longer entitled to a commission just by showing a home. It needs to be negotiated as a part of the deal. Okay. So just understand that. If you have any questions on this, again, feel free to reach out, ask me. I'm happy to help with any clarification on that front. Those are the most important things here. I'm happy to send a copy of this because there's additional like paragraphs and everything. I could be here all day sharing with you about this, but if you are a client of mine, you will receive this signed before we show any additional properties for you beginning August 17th. If you're not a client of mine or you're a future client of mine, feel free to reach out. I'm happy to send a copy of this to you so you can read through it. And again, any questions that you do have, I'm an open book. I'm embracing these changes. I think they're very good for our industry. And ultimately, I think that the agents who have been able to negotiate and advocate for their clients will succeed. The agents who got into the business thinking that it was like a selling sunset or HGTV, we've glamorized this industry so badly, which is why we got here, honestly. Those agents will be gone. And they're going to be fearful of these conversations with clients and with the agents to negotiate the commission that they're going to be earning for helping a client buy a home and close on the property. So I think this is very good. If you have any questions, please feel free to reach out, and I would love to help you. I'd love to be a resource for you. And yeah, reach out if there's anything you need. Thank you so much for watching.